Okay, we are live. Today, we are going to watch a video together about Epstein. All right, I got my boy Umpaville. Came out with a video about 22 hours ago, and we're going to watch it together. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. Let's see.
On December 19th, 2025, the deadline arrived. For the first time in American history, Congress had passed a law with near unanimous support demanding the full release of Jeffrey Epstein's files. The vote was 427 to 1 in the House.
The bill is passed, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the...
This is true. Everybody remember this? Everybody remember this? I remember this.
Whoever that one guy is, I think we should check his hard drive. This is the reason he voted against it, by the way, this is perfectly valid, but I think that...
Says, I have been a principal. Nope, on this bill from the beginning. What was wrong with the bill 3 months ago is still wrong today. It abandons 250 years of criminal justice procedures in America. As written, this bill reveals injuries, thousands of innocent people, witnesses, people who provide alibis, family members, etc. If enacted in its current form, this type of broad reveal of criminal investigative files released to a rabid media will absolutely result in innocent people being hurt. I don't know about that. Not if you redact the people that were hurt, bro. Not by my vote. The Oversight Committee has conducted a thorough investigation that has already released well over 60,000 pages of documents from Epstein case. That effort will continue in a manner that provides all due protections for innocent Americans. If the Senate amends the bill to properly address privacy of victims, what? All right, relax. We're not saying that. No, bro, no. You all some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? The property victim of innocent Americans. If the Senate amends the bill to properly address privacy of victims and other Americans who are named but not criminally implicated, then I will vote for that bill when it comes back to the House. All right, bunch of bullshit. Bet.
And also release the files and also do this, right? And after the shocking unanimous votes, even more shockingly, Trump signed it within 24 hours, which is a shocking shift from the previous attempts to shut down further inquiry. And it's quite far away from it being a Democratic hoax. It seems like. Either way, the law was clear. Release everything within 30 days. Release all the photos, release all the documents, and most importantly, release all of the names. Now, what the Justice Department actually released instead is something else entirely. At least 550 pages were completely blacked out. You've probably seen memes and videos of people doing this type of thing where,
Bro, who else was pissed off that bro? When I saw the files, bro, and I saw a bunch of like 250 pages, bro. Like, I didn't even count the pages, but I saw a ton of pages just blacked out completely, bro. So, yeah.
$50 billion or whatever. You know what I'm saying? These pages were not partially redacted. They were completely covered in black boxes from top to bottom. Even a 119-page grand jury transcript was solid black on every single page. And then the next morning, files started disappearing from the government website listing all the files. For example,
oh, no shot, bro. What? No shot, bro. What? Oh, man. So at this point, bro, what's happening? What's going on?
This file, a photograph showing Donald Trump's image that was visible on Epstein's desk. It was visible Friday and gone Saturday afternoon. More than a dozen files had been pulled without explanation. The explanation, though, seems kind of obvious. They forgot to put the black marks over them. Also, they didn't do that right either, which we'll get into. Within 48 hours, the same bipartisan lawmakers who'd written the transparency law were threatening to hold Attorney General Pam Bondi in contempt of Congress.
And Congressman Ro Khanna says that he and Representative Massey, again bipartisan here, are going to hold Attorney General.
All right. I read Thomas Massey, and I announced that we are bringing inherent contempt against Bondi. DOJ coerced and re-released a 119-page document Now with minimal redactions. Messi and I are different. We do not just do memes or speeches. We take action to fight for corrupt systems. Bet, bro. Bet. Make it happen, though. Make it happen, though.
Bondi in contempt and have previously said they are considering impeachment.
Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna are pissed. Thomas Massie, by the way, is kind of becoming a local legend in the American government for being a guy who is honest, which is rare, it seems like. But Thomas and Ro have called for inherent contempt and have floated the idea of filing impeachment articles. Both had co-authored the bill together to get all of this released. And meanwhile, newly released photos showed Bill Clinton.
Bro, look at this motherfucker, bro. Just chilling, bro. No fucks given, bro.
In a hot tub next to a person whose face had been blacked out, as well as swimming in a pool with Ghislaine Maxwell. And Bill's spokesman fired back, calling the release a scapegoat operation.
All right, statement from me. The White House hasn't been hiding these files for months, only to dump them late on Friday to protect Bill Clinton. This is about shielding themselves from what comes next or from what they'll try and hide forever, so they can release as many grainy 20-plus-year-old photos as they want. But this isn't about Bill Clinton. Never has, never will be. Even Susie Wiles said Donald Trump was wrong about Bill Clinton. There are two types of people. The first group knew nothing and cut Epstein off before his crimes came to light. The second group continued relationships with him after. Where in the first, no amount of stalling by people in the second group will change that. Everyone, especially MAGA, expects answers, not scapegoats. This is true. This is true.
I don't understand how at this point you can't see this as a total clown show. If you're a victim, it has to be even worse. Marina Lacerda, who was abused by Epstein when she was 14 years old, watched this happen and said it felt like a slap in the face.
I think all of us, if I can say, we are infuriated with this. And I feel like it's another slap in our faces.
And that she personally expected way more. And she's a literal victim of this. This is the story of what was supposed to be the most transparent document release in American history and how it has become the most controversial drop of documents ever. This makes everything Watergate, all the scandals look like nonsense in comparison because it implicates the most powerful people in the entire world. And they're actively trying to hide it and cover up things because they released too much. For example,
this is true, bro. This is true. Like, bro. My question is, like, if they break the law and they don't abide by the court order and they are the law, who punishes them? Who goes after them? If they're the highest of the high when it comes to the Justice Department, who makes sure that they fucking, you know what I'm saying? Who, like, what? Bro, what the fuck? So, are you telling me, like, laws are just made up? And if nobody is there to enforce them, like, it don't matter? The fuck? So, oh my God. What the fuck, bro?
like not fully redacting PDFs to where you can just copy the text and then paste it in another document. Dumb! On November 18th, 2025, the House floor was the same battleground that it had been for years. Political parties spent hours playing the blame game about why things were taking so long and why things aren't affordable and whether or not the word affordable is a Democrat psyop. For months, the Epstein Files Transparency Act had been stalled. Dinosaurs were still busy pointing fingers at each other over
Oh, bro. No. Don't call her a dinosaur, bro. The
was responsible rather than just shutting the fuck up and getting on with it. President Trump, who'd repeatedly claimed the files would expose his political enemy.
Now that the Democrats are using the Epstein hoax involving Democrats, not Republicans, to try and deflect from their disastrous shutdown and all of their other failures, I will be asking A.G. Pound Bondi and the Department of Justice together with our great patriots at the FBI to investigate Jeffrey Epstein involvement and relationship with Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, and Reid Hoffman. Who the fuck are these people, bro? Who's Larry Summers and Reid Hoffman? JP Morgan, Chase, and many other people on the institutions to determine what was going on with them and him. This is another Russia scam with all arrows pointing to the Democrats. Records show that these men and many others spent large portions of their lives with Epstein and on his island. Stay tuned. What?
Like Bill Clinton, and had stated he'd release the documents ahead of the 2024 election, had also then not so privately opposed the bill, calling it a Democratic hoax. The Trump White House said that helping Thomas Massie and the efforts to release the files would be viewed as a very hostile act to the administration, which is, I'm guilty. That's how that translates. By the way, I'm very unbiased. Republican leadership blocked it from coming to a vote. But then something bizarre happened, guys. Representative Thomas Massie, a Kentucky Republican, filed a discharge petition in September 2025 to force the vote. And by November 12th, the petition had collected 218 signatures, the minimum required to force the vote. Oh my God, something's gonna happen! Be quiet! I'm working! 4 Republicans and every Democrat in the House had signed on. These 4 Republicans were the ones who signed, just for your information. I don't know why that's important, but I've really been getting into lists lately, making lists of names of people in the government who vote on certain bills and don't. Now, with this moving forward, because apparently our government still has checks and balances, Trump dropped his opposition to this all coming out. And this, by the way, is a terrible look when the bill came to the floor. The final vote wasn't even close. 427 members voted yes. Exactly 1 congressman, Representative Clay Higgins of Louisiana, voted no. And he said that he was worried the release.
Why?
Harm innocent people mentioned in the investigation, which that is a fair worry, I guess, and that requires a lot of context, and you're voting yes or no, your track record, yes. Did you just vote yes? Of course. We'll solve this later. People don't want the blood of the innocents and the victims. They want the blood of the pedophile cabal that is apparently incumbent in our administration in this country. Not just the political administration, but I mean the literal administrative power that controls everything that we do, whether it be corporate, scholarly, there's everybody of all likes and kinds. Noam Chomsky, for example. To really critique liberalism and corruption, you have to rub shoulders with it. It seems like. Either way, Clay seemed like he's trying to take the high road, but what do the victims want? The victims are among those calling for the release of all the files. So, sorry, Clay, you're kind of completely a minority and looking really suspicious right about now. Although I'm trying to use my brain to see it not so suspiciously. But once again, the Senate passed it unanimously and Trump signed it on November 19th. And that means that Clay Higgins is the only motherfucker who didn't approve the release of the Epstein files. After this, the deadline is set 30 days to release all unclassified records related to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. The law required the Attorney General to make everything publicly available in a searchable and downloadable format. It also required something else: an unredacted list of all government officials and politically exposed persons named in the files to be given directly to the House and Senate Judiciary Committees.
Right there, bro. Right there, bro. 139, Stat 658. A list of all government officials and political exposed persons named or referenced in the release materials with no redactions permitted under subsection B1. So, where the fuck are the names? Am I tripping?
Senate Judiciary Committees. For victims who'd spent years fighting for accountability, it seemed like a breakthrough. Everyone implicated, if they're in some form of power, their names cannot be redacted. That being said, there were still things that were permitted to be withheld from the release. Personally identifiable information of victims, child sexual abuse material, items that would potentially jeopardize active federal investigations and ongoing prosecution, images of death, abuse, and injury. Also, information specifically authorized under criteria established by an executive order to be kept secret in the interest of national defense or foreign policy. Essentially, if he was a CIA or Mossad agent, they're going to protect that, obviously. That's what that means, though. But this is what the law explicitly said could not be withheld. And this is crucial because it's the standard that the DOJ was legally required to meet. No
Legally required. So if the DOJ doesn't follow the rules, why should I follow the rules? The fuck? Like, why should I follow laws? Why should, you know what I'm saying? Why am I following laws and rules that, you know what I'm saying, that the fucking government put out there, but when the fucking DOJ fucking don't want to follow, what the fuck, bro?
Shall be withheld, delayed, or redacted on the basis of embarrassment, reputational harm, or political sensitivity, including any government official, public figure, or foreign dignitary. It specifically prohibited hiding information because it might harm someone's reputation. So basically, get losers. It specifically named government officials and public figures as people that redactions could not protect. Section 3 went even further. It required the Attorney General to submit within 15 days a list of all government officials and politically exposed persons named or referenced in the release materials. Another one of those lists I'd love to get my hands on. And the key part of that is with no redactions permitted. So give us all the names and you can't redact any of them. And that from the bottom to the top passed all of our forms of government, all of our different beautiful little branches, the House, the Senate, the executive. Trumpenheimer signed off on it. We are going to get an unredacted list of every politician and public figure in the Epstein files.
That's what we thought. That's what we thought. Did it happen? Hell to the no. Hell to the no. But my question is why? Like, why? Why not?
Congress demanded what was signed executively. It's what 427 motherfuckers voted for. And we voted for them to do this type of stuff. That is what the law requires. Now, remember that when we look at what the Department of Justice, whatever the actually released, because the gap between what the law demanded and what the public received isn't even disappointing. It is criminal. It is literally criminal. There should be tarring and feathering, dude. My Christmas was incredible, but it was ruined because we have criminals walking around on land that's paid for by our tax dollars. It makes me levitate with anger and rage and, I don't know, some other strange feeling. A feeling of really wanting a lot of lists of all these people. All the names of just these people on lists. I really like lists all of a sudden. To understand.
I 100% agree, bro. Like, what the fuck? What's DOJ doing, bro? Why? Why are you breaking the law? You breaking the law, bro. Why are you breaking the law? And if you're breaking the law, why are you not being held accountable? The fuck?
Why this release matters so much, you have to go way back to 2008. Police in Palm Beach, Florida had been investigating Jeffrey Epstein since 2005. Case started when a parent reported that Epstein had sexually abused their 14-year-old daughter.
A real factual background. The Palm Beach, Florida Police Department began investigating Jeffrey Epstein in 2005 after the parents of a 14-year-old girl complained that Epstein had paid her for a massage. Okay. Epstein was a multimillionaire financier with residence in Palm Beach, New York, and other United States and foreign locations. The investigation led to the discovery that Epstein used personal assistants to recruit girls to provide massages to him. In any instances, those massages led to sexual activity. Clearly. Come on, we're not stupid. After the PBPD brought the case to the state attorney's office, a Palm Beach County grand jury indicted Epstein only on July 19, 2006 for felony of solicitation of prostitution in violation of Florida statute 796.07. However, because the Palm Beach Police Department chief and the lead detective were dissatisfied with the state attorney's handling of the case and believed that the state and grand jury charge did not address the totality of Epstein's conduct, they referred the matter to the Federal Bureau of Investigation in West Palm Beach for possible federal investigation. So, the cops tried to investigate this shit, and they were unsatisfied with the conclusion of it, so they brought it up to the FBI. What the fuck did the FBI do moving forward? Let's find out.
2008, the FBI had identified numerous additional victims.
The FBI brought the matter to Assistant U.S. Attorney, who opened the file with her supervisor approval with the knowledge of the U.S. Attorney, Alexandra Acosta. She worked with 2 FBI case agents to federal case against Epstein. And in the course of the investigation, they discovered additional victims. Okay, this is good. This is good. They discovered victims. In May 2007, the AUSA submitted to her supervisor to a draft of 60-count indictment outlining charges against Epstein. She also provided a lengthy memorandum summarizing the evidence she had assembled in support of the charges and addressing the legal issues related to the proposed charges. What? Really? So what? Oh my God.
Instead of facing federal charges despite a 60-count indictment being drafted, Epstein got what prosecutors would later call the infamous sweetheart deal. With Alexander Acosta being attorney for the Southern District of Florida at the time, appointed by George W. Bush, Acosta approved a non-prosecution agreement that shut down the FBI's investigation entirely. And under the terms, Epstein
Why?
pled guilty to 2 state charges: solicitation of prostitution, one involving a minor. He was sentenced to 18 months in a county jail, and he served 13 of them in a private wing and was allowed to leave for 12 hours a day on work release to his Palm Beach office. During that time, it was reported that he continued to fly women in for sex at his office despite being under the watchful eye of officers, state chaperone officers who treated him like a VIP. It is absolutely disgusting and completely criminal. The sweetheart scene.